Welcome to Art is Everything, the podcast.
Today's guests are Tigersasha, Rayevskiy, and Samantha Hunt.
We're excited to have you here and see what we've got in store for you.
I can't wait.
So, what do you think? You've met Tiger before, right?
Yes, we've known each other for just over a year almost.
Right,
yeah.
And we've got a little painting here behind us.
We
right?
do. This is one of his pieces that is in the Art Collective gallery right now.
I ran up on him a few years ago. I had a friend who had decorated her office with some of Tigersasha's works, and then I ran up on him again at the Art Center of the Ozarks and had some really large pieces there. He works in very large format.
So generally, he's known around this area as a muralist, but I asked him if he had any canvas pieces, and he had a few available. So
you have multiple pieces.
We do have multiple pieces. They're quite interesting and brightly colored. So I can't wait to talk to him about his work.
I'm excited about it. I want to talk to him a little bit about his process.
Yes, that'd be great.
Everybody's always interested in artist's process. And then we have Sam Hunt today.
Sam Hunt, who's a local musician, singer-songwriter, and she plays all around this area quite a bit.
So she's part of a group, but then she's also a solo artist, right?
Yes, she is. So
I went and looked and listened to some of Sam's work. It's very folksy.
Right.
Very homey. It makes me feel good in my heart when I listen to it.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk to her.
She's a really nice lady, too.
Yes, she is.
So just stay tuned, and we are going to share our artists with you today and talk a little bit about art.
Yes. Hey, we're here with our very first guest ever, Tigersasha Rayevskiy. Welcome, Tiger.
Hello.
Tigersasha.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm excited to be here.
The show's all about art and artists and how they make their art. So, tell us a little bit about your past. So originally you're from Russia, I believe.
Yeah.
And so tell us about that, growing up in Russia, and when did you come to America?
I was born in Novorossiysk on the coast of the Black Sea.
Okay.
It's a big naval town and port area. And then that was back in '89. And then in '96 we moved to the States. So I was about 6 years old. And we landed in Jonesboro, Arkansas, in northeast Arkansas of all places.
So let me stop you there. Why did you come to?
Why did you come
to Arkansas?
I guess we had a few options and stuff available to us, but it was kind of fell down to like finances and stuff, and being like it's a lot cheaper to raise, start a new life with 3 kids, soon to be a 4th, with my dad and my parents. And we had a friend that Tatiana Bell and stuff, and she was there and kind of helped us get settled and stuff like that. Awesome. So it was nice.
Cool. And so did you create art as a young boy when you lived in Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember seeing my older brother. He'd make stuff out of Play-Doh or whatever, clay, and then we would be playing with markers and drawing all the time. And I remember we were drawing like dinosaurs one time when I was a kid. I was probably like 4 years old maybe.
Did you always know that you wanted to be an artist when you grew up?
No, I actually never knew what I wanted to do ever. Everybody growing up was like, "Oh man, you're going to be an artist when you grow up. It's going to be awesome." And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I had a few other like career choices before, I guess, kind of settling with art, or maybe not. I guess I wouldn't say settling, but pursuing.
Right. Well, I remember the first time I ever met you and talked to you, and you may not even remember this, but I was really fascinated because I hadn't really broken into art yet. So it was very fascinating for me to talk to you, and I think you were you were on the verge of quitting your job to pursue art full time, or else you just had.
Oh yeah, that was the first time.
The first time. Brother, I get it. But how old were you or tell us about when you decided, I'm actually going to pursue this as my job?
When I was 23.
Okay. How'd that go down?
I had kind of gone through like an emotional situation, like with my ex at the time, and I was kind of tired of being in northeast Arkansas. It's just kind of a dull area for me. I'd never really been a big fan of it, and I was like, oh, I'll just try Fayetteville, and I had one of my brother's friends called me immediately and was like, hey, I can get you a job. Like, you got a place to stay. Like, I was like, sweet, I don't have to think about this. So I just moved up here on December 30th, 2012. Yeah, it kind of went from there. I was just like, it's a kind of a neater area. His girlfriend at the time, Donna Smith, huge advocate of the arts around here. She had a little gallery in the same building that I ended up having my first studio in. And that was like my first real art show. It was like 2 months after I moved here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We did a joint art show with my older brother. Called it The Americans because that show had just come out. And I thought it'd be funny.
I love that.
But yeah, it was after that. You know, I guess the real thing that kind of set it off in motion that I could potentially do art as a career was I was a massage therapist for a long time. And I sold one of my paintings to a client of mine. And she was just a huge fan. It was also, like, I didn't want to sell it because it was the first painting my dad was like a real big fan of. And he was like, well, you know, whatever. You know, it's like, if you can sell it, sell it. Like, you know, it's pretty cool. Like, you know, it'll probably look better in her house than our house.
What I've noticed is that you've kind of grown up with art in Northwest Arkansas. So the art movement, I feel like in Northwest Arkansas has really happened over the last decade. And so you moved here in 2012, so you were right around that cusp of time where Crystal Bridges opened and all of that stuff. And do you feel like you've kind of grown up with it?
Yeah, at times, I feel like I've kind of helped, especially with like the street art aspect of it, because I started doing that immediately as soon as I moved up here. Painted a gym, surely out of luck, just because I had painted the gym back home. And I was like, oh yeah, I've done this stuff, and I got a free gym membership, which ended up not actually benefiting me whatsoever.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like through that, it was just like,
That's so funny.
just painting that place, and then, you know, doing so many random businesses because it's all like mainly commission based. You know, and then also doing a handful of like paintings and stuff and huge walls for free, just because, you know, I was super hungry, just wanted to play around and just do whatever.
Experience.
Yeah, to get experience, and you know, I think that's like the most important thing. It's just like, you know, getting paid is awesome, but you know, the experience is the most important thing.
Exposure also.
Yeah, exposure, you know, that term gets thrown around constantly, you know.
That's a double-edged sword.
It is. I've done a lot of...
Because you can't pay your electric bill with exposure.
Yeah, I've done a lot of exposure
Yes.
things.
You can't deposit exposure.
You
No.
can't. Oh, that's a good one. That's a new one. I'm going to use that.
So we're actually in front of one of your pieces that's in the gallery, and you have a distinct style. I wonder how that came to be.
So that came to be in Fayetteville. So it was right at the beginning of 2015. I had already been kind of working prior to that, like on like cleaning up my line work and stuff like that, because it was too much to me. It was too much of a cop out with my old style. I could just throw some splatters,
Right.
add some sketch effects or whatever, and throw some splatters and whatever, and it's like bam, it's art, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wanted more of a refined style, and I was heavily getting into spray paint and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, well, you know, I kind of want something that's like bold, that stands out, that I can translate across almost any medium, you know. And so being an Art Basel in 2014 was really the first kickstart to that, because I had ideas of like growing up, you know, with Japanese animation and just animation in general. I've always been drawn to it, like Gendy Tarkovsky and stuff. He did like Dexter's Laboratory and all those things. All those kind of art styles, like clean and crisp they were, and I just like cute things. So I was like, all right, cool. So we went and did this thing in Art Basel, and then the owner was like, hey, do you guys want to paint my bathrooms? I'm like, sure, we're here for another 3 days, like, why
I
not?
want to get some clarification here. Did you have pieces in Art Basel, or were you just going for inspiration?
No, I went there and painted
That is
a bar.
amazing.
Yeah, that was a sporadic, like, last-minute event.
And which one did you go to?
2014.
But where was it?
It was in Wynwood. It was in at the Social Loop, which isn't there anymore. Yeah.
Did you know that?
No, I did not. I didn't know he was part of Art Basel at that time. Yeah, I had
blown
no idea.
away. Yeah. I knew you were awesome, but this takes you up a notch, Sasha.
Yeah, it was fun. It was literally like just a kind of a chance kind of thing. My brother and I, one of our friends growing up, he opened up a recording studio in Dallas, in Deep Ellum, right on Main Street. And he hit us up and he's like, hey, you know, my buddy Drummer Boy, who's from, you know, Memphis area where we grew up, and Medlock had worked with him in the past, and he was like, hey man, he's doing this contest because he's a brand ambassador for like this like champagne thing, and they're doing like this event at Art Basel, because Medlock before that didn't know what Art Basel was until we told him. We're like, man, it's super cool, like art thing. And we had painted a wall at his studio. And so he, you know, contests and stuff, and my brother and I being lazy, we're just like, yeah, you know, we'll get around to it. And so Medlock takes it upon himself and just sends him text messages because he has his private number. He goes, hey man, you know, this is what my buddies did for me at my art studio, or like my music studio. And Drummer was like, man, you got any more photos or anything? And I was like, well, yeah. So like I sent Medlock a bunch of photos of like artwork that I had done, stuff that Tolek has done, and like some short little like edited videos that I had done for Instagram.
And
Tolek's my older brother. And so literally like after that, he saw the videos and stuff and was like, can they be there? This was on a Thursday. And he said, can they be there in Miami on Monday?
Wow.
And I'm working at the hospital at the time. Mm-hmm. And so I called my director immediately and I was like, hey, so I'm not going to be here next week. I'm going to Miami to paint a restaurant or like a bar. And I told her straight up, I was like, you know, I don't care if you find anybody to cover my shifts or not. I'm not going to be here.
Right.
Like if I don't have a job when I come back, it's whatever. You know, I've been obsessed with Art Basel since like 2006.
Right.
So it was like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I was piss poor. My dad had to go and like deposit some money into my bank account
just to get you there.
just so I could get there. And then I had some buddies of mine had like loaned me like a couple $100. So I had about maybe like $550 or something to like get all the way to Dallas and back, or to Art Basel. And so yeah, we went down to Dallas, loaded up in Medlock's car. Luckily we had a bunch of spray paint and stuff that we've been acquiring over the years. And just loaded up in the car and drove 25 hours to Miami, painted it up, painted some bathrooms, got to see a bunch of cool art. Saw Shepard Fairey in person. I met Tristan Eaton, which was super rad because I was always a big fan of his. Kind of scared him on the street because it was like 11 o'clock at night and he's painting.
Yeah.
Like just started, and I'm like, hey man.
Just creeped up on him.
Yeah, I was like, you could barely even tell that it was like even his work because I'd never like seen him. I was like, hey, are you Tristan Eaton? And he goes, yeah. How do you know? Who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm just an art kid.
Do you think you were there to arrest him or something?
Yeah, he was just kind of like cut off guard because he had one of his boys, and big old dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just ended up hanging out for like 35, 45 minutes, just out there, just chatting. And he invited us to this other thing that a couple other artists were at and stuff. But it was super cool. And then we had to cut the trip a little short because I had to do a live painting at Crystal Bridges, and I was like 2 hours late to it.
Wow.
So they were like freaking out. And this younger girl, like as soon as I pull up, I literally drove 25 hours straight and then go shower and then immediately go up to Bentonville. And they're like, oh my God, you're late. Everything, do you have enough time to do this? It's like, it's fine.
You're in demand, right?
And I told the lady, I'm like, sorry, I was at fucking Art Basel. And the girl in front of me is like, what? And the older lady that was next to me,
they had no idea what it was.
she goes, oh, you're totally fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
And
wow.
yeah, it's just a quick little like ink painting. It was like a 5x4, but that's kind of like the predecessor to like the bubbles and stuff. It was like those kind of ideas, and I was like, oh cool, I got this like bathroom I can do whatever the hell I want with. Right. So I painted up this like super cutesy kawaii like we were just drinking like vodka waters the whole time, and so I was like inspired by that. And
well, that takes care of the what inspires you question. Vodka waters.
Well, that's the time, yeah. So it's vodka waters because Medlock was on a fitness kick, and but it was like the women's bathroom. And it's covered in like magazine, like dirty magazines and all this other stuff. It's just this cool like random bar. And so just paint it over. You can kind of see through the spray paint. And my brother painted the women's bathroom in like this very like black and white, super stark like archangel like thing. And we're heavily inspired also by like hip hop and like pop culture and whatever. Not just vodka. Right. I mean that's kind of inherent, from where I'm from.
That's just part of it.
But. Yeah, like I painted the toilet pink, a couple shades of pink and stuff, and it's the men's bathroom.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then the women's bathroom is a black, chaotic, total art style is very like expressive and completely different from mine. And
did you coordinate this beforehand, or you
well,
just
yeah, we just thought it'd be funny. I was like, well, I'll paint the women's bathroom, and I was like, I've been wanting to do all this like kawaii stuff for a minute, and he goes, yeah, that'd be hilarious. He's like, how? He's like, and the bathroom was already black to begin with the women, so he's like, well, I'll just kind of do this thing, and we almost did this like murder scene in there, but we're like, maybe not. It's a little much.
A little rough.
But he spray painted the toilet gold, like in the.
It's a throne.
And and he put "Watch the Throne" like right next to it.
God.
And but it was cool. Yeah, the owner of the bar happened to be a Russian dude, so that was cool. Like kind of chatting with him, and his like second in command was a Ukrainian girl, and so it was super cool. Just kind of like talking to people like that, and because he was terrified when we first started, because we're totally looking at just
right. Yeah, he's
our initial sketch was a square with some other rectangles where the mirrors were, with some random shapes.
So not a lot of details.
No, it was just like, yeah, we'll do this. And there's a guy filming, and he's looking. He's like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And Medlock's like, don't worry, I've had the same thoughts whenever they were painting my place.
It always turns out, dude.
Right.
Just go with it.
Yeah, we painted it in like a day and a half, maybe. It was like a 40-foot wall. I think it was like 40 foot long and about 15, 18 feet tall.
Let's talk about success a little bit.
Yeah.
I know if I were on the other end of this podcast and I were listening to everything that you just told me, it sounded pretty effortless. It sounds like you just put yourself out there and stuff happens and you woke up one day and you were like, wow, it's like I'm an accomplished artist and I'm able to make a living. And I think something like that. I know that you put effort into it, but I know a lot of people will talk to artists about how talented they are. Oh, you're so talented and it's so inherent. And what people don't see is the behind the scenes and the times whenever you had to borrow money to go to Art Basel or when you didn't have the money to buy paint. So talk to us a little bit about, your process of success. Right. And do you consider yourself successful?
Yeah, I consider myself pretty successful. I mean, I'm, generally lucky to be able to do what I do for a living in a state that's not necessarily known for art.
Right.
Well, how much is talent and how much is practice?
I think 98% of it is hard work. I mean, I was working 40 hours a week at the hospital and going home for about an hour, which I wasn't even home. I was bumming up my friend's house for like a month until I got my apartment. And then I would go to my studio from like 6 p.m. to like 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. And then I'd wake up at 6 a.m. the next day and go back to work for 8 hours. And that was just it, I was like, well, I'm miserable at the pharmacy. I hate this. I hate all my coworkers. My director's a psychopath. And
so your success was not accidental. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, it was just a ton of work. And then as soon as I quit that place and kind of had some other revenue streams, I was just like, started continuing my little daily drawings and stuff. That was kind of like forcing myself into, it's like, well, I've got an idea for an art style. Or just practice in general. It's like I need to do this, and then after Art Basel, it was, well, cool. I like this like weird idea of these like bubble kind of things.
So the Art Basel sounds like it was your start with this style of art, and it just like influenced you tremendously.
Yeah, it was just like it was cool. It was easy to translate to across any medium. It was expressive, and for me. It was, like most art, it's all like a reflection of like what you're going through personally and like the times and stuff. And I had just gone through a divorce right before Art Basel. And so I was just tired of being depressed and being angry all the time. So I was like, I don't know, I like cute stuff. Yeah. I like cool colors and stuff. And I'm tired of being sad. I was like, let's just paint some fun stuff and be happy.
I love that. So it kind of saved you. Yeah. See, what I always say. Art heals hearts. That's true. Art saves lives. It did it for you too.
Yeah, and so I kind of started messing around. We did a little Paint the Town Red event, and that's what kind of, the bubbles were in actual like bubble form, and Bartus, who did like the creative vision of the whole setup, was like, I fucking love Bartus, but he's just an incredible man. He goes, I love this.
totally see him doing that. Have you met Bartus?
No, I have not.
Must.
You
Yeah?
have to meet Bartus. He's the best.
But you have to wear your Vegas jacket when you meet Bartus.
Yeah, you have to be
You'll love it.
upper echelon.
Yes.
And we get along because we both don't give a shit about anything. So.
Awesome.
But yeah, I painted him and he goes, Sasha, I love this. I don't know what it is, but like I just could see this going somewhere. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of an idea I've been exploring. And so we was kind of like thinking, I was like, oh, where else could I put these guys in? And in random situations and scenarios. And the first one that kind of got popular was a sketch I did of them stuffed into a jar.
I love the bubbles in a jar.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what year was this?
This was 2015. This was like right at the beginning of 2015. Okay. And I had always kind of painted women and stuff. That's kind of like a muse. And so then I was like, well, cool, I'll just kind of start implementing like these bubbles with them. And it kind of played hand in hand, which most people didn't even see it. Because I had like my first, that show that you mentioned was at the Art Center of the Ozarks with all the big paintings and stuff. And I had like the gray women and stuff.
You
That's
had
where
women
all
and bubbles in that show. Yes.
And so like that's where like all the gray tones for the women and stuff came, and then like the bubbles had spawned and stuff. But like nobody paid attention to the fact that every girl in that show and 90% of them in that whole series were sad. Like the expressions, they're like either crying or like their faces were really sad or like melodramatic or just it was like a very melancholic kind of look. And then like the bubbles around them were just, I guess they just caught them off guard. So like everyone pays attention to them and not the centerpiece. And they've got all these different expressions, like, oh, this one in the corner is like, falling in love with her, or this one's super happy, this one's confused,
So what kind of message were you trying to convey? Do you have any idea? Is it just so natural that you don't think about it?
Have a message I'm trying to bring across in any of my pieces. It's usually just all subconscious and just I just paint whatever the hell I feel like painting at the time. Most time I don't even think about it. I'll just go, oh well. Like this painting, for example, I didn't know what the hell I was even going to do. I just painted yellow and red and magenta, and I was like, oh, well, this would be cool over here. I'll just kind of go through this and just kind of go from there.
Awesome.
So what words do you use to describe your art? I know anime comes to mind. What else would you use to describe your style?
I guess like Neo Art Nouveau, I guess, would be the most accurate kind of thing. Because, I have a lot, being a Russian immigrant, I've got a lot of iconography that kind of goes into it. And, I'm a huge fan of history and stuff like that. And my own culture is just, vast and murderous. So.
Vast and murderous. God, I love this guy, Jim. God.
I knew he'd be a great first guest.
I know, right?
So the nesting dolls, they were a predecessor to a lot of it. It was just kind of a random idea I had, and then they kind of evolved into what they are now.
Right.
And because the first renditions of her, she had different eyes and a bit different shape, and a gas mask, or like a spray paint, a painter's mask.
That's what I really love about your work is that you do take your past, being a Russian immigrant, and also combining it with modern day anime. And I think it's brilliant. I really do.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
my pleasure.
So if our listeners or people watching want to find out more about your art and want to see some of your art in person, where are all the places they can see them?
You can go anywhere in Northwest Arkansas.
Walk down the street.
Yeah, pretty much.
More specific there, Sasha.
Fayetteville. I have a 140-foot piece in the downtown Fayetteville on West Street. Wasabi. What else? Brewski's. Cannibal and Craft. Ginger on MLK. Supply Pike, which is a startup company.
And you're talking murals.
This is just strictly murals. Nomads in Fayetteville.
But if somebody wants to buy a piece of your art, they can come here to the Art Collective Gallery. Yeah. Where else do you have home-sized pieces hanging?
Nowhere, actually.
Really?
Yeah, this is the only gallery that I've been actually happy to work with.
Almost everybody that looks at your work, it just responds to it in such an amazing way. Yeah. It's so beautiful and it speaks to so many different things.
Yes,
it's just
really does.
Awesome.
We want to thank you for being with us on Artist Everything.
The very first
The
one.
very first one. And so next up we have Samantha Hunt.
Yes, we do.
We're going to talk with her for a little while, and then she's also going to perform for us. So I'm really excited about that.
Me too.
All right.
Excellent. Thanks for letting me be on here, guys.
Our next guest on Art is Everything is singer-songwriter Samantha Hunt.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Delightful to be here. I love it.
Awesome.
Jim is the one who suggested you to be a guest, and so I went and did my homework and listened a little bit. And you just have that really homey, folky sound that I love. It just makes me feel really good in my heart when I listen to it. So how long have you been making music?
Oh, goodness. I've been successfully writing for about a year.
Ooh, that's a slippery line.
I know, right?
Success is a slippery word.
Good, it depends on how you take it.
Right.
People have been listening to me for almost, and paying me and such for about 7 or 8 years.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been very thankful and lucky for the opportunities that I've had, including this one, of course, to be able to say how I feel and, interpret that and have people receive me. So
Awesome.
I've been super pumped to be able to do this, yeah.
And you're a singer-songwriter,
Yep.
so that means you write your own
I
music.
do.
So tell us, when did you start writing your own music? Let's start there.
It's always been an idea, so I tried to find the recipe, and the best recipe I found is a few bottles, not bottles, but a few cups of whiskey and a note and a paper.
So Tigersasha used alcohol, vodka, and now we have whiskey.
Yep. Yeah.
This may be a trend.
Yeah, maybe I need something.
I can't wait to talk. Well, there needs to be a question that we ask everybody.
Yeah, right.
What inspires you?
Right.
And then every guest will.
Or what alcohol inspires you?
Which alcohol
What spirit?
inspires you most?
What helps, say how you feel.
Yeah. What greases the wheels?
Jameson.
We should get them as a sponsor, I think. So,
You. Hint, hint.
so start your process. Tell us what your process is.
I can have a sentence that I've written down and sit on it for a year and, have a different feeling whenever I wrote that down and then take it, however I'm feeling at that moment of time. So I have a song called I'd Rather Be Lonely. And at that time I was like, well, fuck this and fuck you. And then eventually it's more of a prideful song and more of a I love Patsy Cline and, this is the direction that I'd rather go with. So eventually it turned into a prideful, I'd rather be lonely than, love somebody else.
Wow.
Or to put up with someone's crap.
Exactly.
Right? Is that what kind of how it
entirely.
started?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, really it's just, depends again. He talked about feeling and, what you've been through. So really, writing music is just being honest to me and people will pick up that honesty and they'll see that emotion that you put into it and, they'll know if you're being fake and,
True.
Yeah. You can't fake it to
Can't
make
fake
it.
that, yeah.
No.
Even on visual art, you can't fake it.
No, people can see right through fakeness.
I thought it was interesting before we got started that you said you were a little nervous.
Always.
And yes, right? I always, even before I do a shoot, because I'm a photographer, I always get butterflies again. And I mentioned that to someone the other day and they're like, after all this time, you still get nervous? Absolutely. And I don't know why it surprised me that you did when I know I do. But
it keeps you on your toes.
It does.
If you don't get nervous, then you're not worried about doing your best, is what I've noticed.
Well, that's a good question. When was the first time you performed in front of people, and did it scare the hell out of you?
Absolutely. So I have a video of my very first performance of a 2-hour set, which is I had the opportunity to have 3 songs that I played on somebody else's break.
Wow.
And I had the chords written on my arm, so I'm sitting here, and I'm like, I know all the words, but what
it's
are
like
the chords?
you're cheating on a test.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to cheat to have that confidence, but eventually you get into the swing of things, and hopefully you'll always be nervous.
Wow.
Because,
I think that's where the creativity happens when you
Right.
when you become so good at the basics of what you're doing, then you're able to throw in
Or so relaxed.
right, so relaxed,
Yeah.
and then you're able to throw in things that might be a little different or put more of yourself into it because you're kind of running on autopilot on the core of what you're doing.
yeah.
Especially live, I would think.
You have to have that sense of stability too. Like, I know I can do this stuff, and I know that people will enjoy it.
before,
Yeah, I know these chords, but how you? I mean, you can take any four chords and write a song.
Right.
But can you take those 4 chords that anybody can play and make it yours?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So again, it's just. I mean, you can play a G all
Right.
day long. How do you play that G, and
Right.
how do you make those people feel with that song or those
Right.
words, or I mean, they can see that you're putting your heart into it, and eventually they can feel that if they really are open to it.
So besides Jameson, what inspires you to write? I mean, what do you get up in the middle of the night and jot things down? Or
Yeah,
I've heard people describe it that way sometimes.
So I'll have something in my head sometimes, and I'll be up sometimes not able to sleep till 2:30. I write something down on my notes. 2:33, I have a song, and it's just, how was I feeling that day? Did something I watch on TV, hit me differently, or did I watch a film that had a beautiful love story? Maybe I haven't felt that, but how did I interpret that?
Right.
And I mean, really, again, music is just how you see things and how you want to express yourself, and you can express yourself driving down the road and just seeing the sun flow through the leaves, and how beautiful that is, like how appreciative you can be in that moment. And really anything can turn into a
Right.
song. It's just how you can see it and how people can take it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
From the lips of a true artist.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Love
I
that.
don't go that far, but I'm trying.
I think you definitely fall into that category.
Right.
Well, thank you.
So you're a solo act and a group act.
Yes.
So Honey Shuffle is your group.
Is your group.
Right. Talk to us a little bit about your solo act as opposed to your group act. Are your styles different? Are they similar? Or how do things change?
Yeah, they are different. So on my solo acts, I'll try and branch out. I mean, like, I always usually just stick with the ukulele whenever I play with other people, because depending on what instrument's being played, who's doing what, and this and that and the other, I can be flexible, and I'll sing these harmonies as opposed to what I would normally do during a solo act, and I can play guitar, acoustic or electric, or whichever ukulele, this and that the other, and solo, and I could slow down, or I just really want to belt it out on this part, like, fuck, I'm feeling it, like, let's do this. And it's hard to do that in a band setting.
Right.
Whenever it's like,
You got to stay in your lane, and
you rehearse things. So I feel like you're better to express yourself, but it's always more fun with friends, because you feed off that energy. And what if they had an idea that you never even thought of before?
Yeah.
And so you can find inspiration from them too. So kind of depends on who you're trying to entertain, or this and that the other. But I mean, each experience is beautiful, solo or band wise.
I think it's
Awesome.
I think it's inspiring that you do both and that you can see the benefit of both, because some people only want to be a solo act.
Right.
Some people only want to play with other people. But I just love how you bring that all together.
Well, thank you. I had the opportunity with a place called the House of Songs to write a song with somebody else, and that was the first time I met that person. We got 3 hours to write a song. What do we do? Who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I asked these basic questions, and I was trying to figure out, like, so how have you been feeling lately, or what kind of song do you want to produce? So I mean, you can have so many ideas and everything, and they can rhyme, but
Right.
it doesn't mean something to them. So that was a really interesting experience to say, like, do you want to be positive, or like, how preachy do you want to be, and trying to get somebody else's viewpoint. It was incredible,
Wow.
because you start thinking about other people, and like, thinking outside of your own circle, your own bubble
Right.
is.
Right.
Oh, it's hard, but
Interesting.
it's very rewarding, because you see a different perspective.
Wow.
you know, like, whoa.
You are just bursting with
Yes.
creativity,
Yeah,
isn't she? Because I'm getting your energy, and
Yeah.
you just have such a beautiful energy.
Yeah,
Love that.
you do.
So do you come from a musical family? Sort of.
Maybe a little.
Here and there, sort of. Yeah.
It was very, they had expectations. So, you know, if you didn't do this or that, then like, is it worth it? So finding your own worth and your own creativity, that was a whole battle, you know, and just recently, whenever I was older, and, you know, life is about cycles and breaking out of
Sure.
the norm and this and that, the other. So how you were raised and, you know, what you grow accustomed to, it's hard to break out of that expectation as opposed to what you really need. So that's it's been a beautiful journey of growing up. So I've had a lot of really good influences.
So you were encouraged as a child to pursue this, or yes?
Eventually.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
Interesting.
You have a baby girl, right?
I do.
Is she musical?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yep. So I haven't tried to push that on her, but I mean, you know, it's something that she's seen in the home, and thankfully she's been, you know, she's seen me at performances. But,
Wow.
I mean, she's picked up on it, and I couldn't be more proud. You know.
How old is she?
She's 3.
Oh, wow.
She's
Yeah.
adorable too. And I haven't even seen her in person. I've only seen pictures.
Oh man, she's a hoot. So I mean, like children, I can't wait to see what she does.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't care for music, that's cool, you know. But you know, I've let her be who she is. You know,
Right.
with firm, be respectful. You know, this and that,
Yeah.
the
Right.
other. But I can't wait.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And thank you.
So would we like to hear Miss Samantha
Yeah,
play something?
I would love to hear
Yeah.
Samantha play. Maybe we'll hear a song and then we'll talk a little more.
All right.
Right?
Sounds great.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, let's get a guitar in
We
here
have our
for her.
sweet lady here. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I don't know the proper way to hand this to
That's
you.
all right. What we need is safety.
Watch out, Jim.
I know. It's aimed at me.
Yeah, this can get you in
Hope
the
it's not
eyeball
loaded.
here.
Okay.
I'm so excited. I love live music so much.
Good. This song I wrote, saw a couple friends and I was like, wouldn't they be a cute couple? You know, this was kind of a anti-love song, just to be like you know, I can write a love song. Because you remember that feeling. That's something that will always stick with you.
Right.
Isn't it nice to be in love? The sun is shining from skies above. Isn't it lovely to be adored? To be looked at like never before. To be completed with your hand in mine, I would hold it to the end of time, 'cause you are the one I adore. No day will be the same as the one before. No, even when the nights are new, with you in my to be completed with your hand in mine. I would hold it to the end of time, 'cause you are the one I adore.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Thank you.